What's going on, everybody? So, here's the deal with today. I am going to be genuinely straightforward with you, honest with you. I am at a very frustrated point in my collecting. And it's not because cards do not excite me. It's not because there's nothing I want to collect. It is the complete opposite of that. Never has there been a time that I felt like there were more things that I wanted at the same time. I have limited funds, and I feel like my card collecting interests are expanding. They are doubling, they are tripling. They're like a fungus that's just exponentially getting bigger. And I genuinely mean that. See, about a year ago, I started going, wow, these pre-war cards, they're really cool. And a lot of you out there going, yeah, no kidding, welcome to the club from like 30 years ago. Well, I'm late to the party, but I'm ready to party. I really like these pre-war cards. And it's like in The Wizard of Oz when Dorothy is in the black and white area, and then she opens the door, and then boom, she's in color, and there's this whole new world to explore. It's kind of how I feel about pre-war cards. What that has done is it has made things more difficult as a collector. See, I only have this finite amount of money, and how am I supposed to collect when now the amount of things I like has just doubled? So that's really what this particular video is going to be about. It's going to be a little bit about my journey, but it's going to be about my main interests, because I genuinely want everyone's advice. Do I make a list of cards? Do I rank them? Do I rank what card do I want most and go buy that, and then go to the second card and then buy that? Do I go to the cheapest card and buy that one and then work my way up? When there's way more that I want than I can afford, what do I do? Like, genuinely, I'm not, it's not a rhetorical question. What do I do? Now, in this video, I'm going to take you through a bunch of cards that are toward the top of my list. A bunch of cards I really want. Some of these cards are honestly $10 cards. Well, just buy those. Well, if I buy a $10 card, then I have less money to go after the $300 card. So what? That's part of the problem. I'm going to start at the beginning of what is realistic for me. And some of these cards, I'll be honest with you, some of these cards are not realistic. Some of these cards I will never own. Now, yeah, I want a 52 Mantle. I want a 51 Bowman Mantle. I want a 51 Mays. There's a lot of stuff that I want that I'll never be able to have all of it. But the journey along the way is going to be a lot of fun. I just don't really know which route to take. Like, I want to pull open the Waze app and just go, dink, take me there, the fastest route, the best route. What's the best route? What's the best route to collect? Let's take a look. I'm going to start at pre-war. Then I'm going to go to vintage. Then I'm going to go to kind of modern vintage, which is more like the 70s. And then I want to show you some cards from my childhood that I still want. All of these cards I do not have. All of these cards I'd like to have and want to add to my collection. And I want each of them for a completely different reason. The ones from my childhood, you're going to say, what? He wants that card? Yeah, because it reminds me of the time I was in the card shop and the guy opened a pack and he pulled that card out and I was like, oh man, I wish I bought that pack. I want that card. There's still a lot of cards. And this is the tip of the iceberg of the cards that I want. There are so many more. But I literally started at T206, and I just literally off the top of my head, I just started going, okay, let's go to the next tier. Yeah, I want that one, that one, that one. Next year, that one, that one, that one. That it's just like a stream of consciousness, cards that Greg really wants. And I really want all of them. I'm interested to see what you think. What is I think I know which pick you're gonna have for the most one. Wait, he wants that. You're gonna be surprised at some of them. Some of them, of course, we all want. I'd be interested in hearing your take on the cards that you really want. Maybe shoot me a list of the 5 cards at the top of your list. Again, I don't want this to be me talking to you. I want us to be talking together. And I want us to be sharing ideas, because what's really fun is scrolling through the comments and looking and saying, oh, yeah, that's a great card too. Oh, I don't know that card. What's that card? I got to check that card out. That is a lot of fun. Here's my list. Top of my head list. These are not all the only cards. This is not everything. This is a lot of them that were off the top of my head. Check them out.
All right, so these are kind of my main areas of collecting interest, and it's pre-war, and, anything in the 30s and before, then early vintage, which I consider, 40s, 50s, 60s. Late vintage, to me, that's like the 70s. Junk wax is, 80s, 90s. Well, then I also like non-sport cards. And then, I also like a bunch of other sport cards too. So basically, I kind of like everything. And that's sort of the problem. Is because I like everything, I don't know where to go. So let's look at some of my current pre-war favorite cards. Now, the T206 set is so classic, and I really would like to add a few more. There are a handful or two I'd like. That Miller Huggins. Now, why Miller Huggins? Did you know the first person with a monument in Monument Park at Yankee Stadium was Miller Huggins? He was the manager during some of those early teams when the Yankees made some runs. And then Frank Chance, you say, well, why Frank Chance? Well, I'm working on a run of cool cards from all of the Yankee captains, and he was a Yankee captain, one of the early ones. And then, of course, I want a big card like the Walter Johnson T206 portrait card. So those are 3 T206s that I would absolutely love to have. Now, there are others, but that's just kind of a taste of a few that are really high on my list. Now, I usually like the cards of the guys that look happy. And Mel Ott does not look happy there. But Mel Ott looks ferocious. There's something about his scowl that I love this card in the 33 Gaudy set. He has 2 cards in that set, and that one, there's something about his look. Carl Hubble has a couple of cards, and yeah, I'd love to have that one. The bright orange is such a cool looking card. They don't have to be in high condition. I mean, I'd be happy with a 1 in either one of these cards. Again, my rule is as long as there's nothing distracting on the card, it's fine with me. And then who wouldn't want a Lefty Grove? One of the most dominant pitchers of his era. I mean, that guy had tons of wins, tons of strikeouts, great ERA, dominating player. That 33 Gaudy set is loaded. And yeah, I know there are so many more great ones, but that's just 3 at the top of the list. Now, there are a couple of the American Caramel sets. And when you look at them, I like all of them. Now, this is a Walter Johnson. Now, these came out from the American Caramel Company, and yeah, I'd love a Ty Cobb and a Walter Johnson. Now, I'll be honest, these two are pretty far out of my price range. I'll probably never have them. But there are other cards in this set. A lot of the players from the early 20s are listed in this set. And there are quite a few cards in this set and then the next American Caramel set that I will show you. Now this one, you say, well, why would you want a Roger Peckinpah? And well, he was also a Yankee captain. He was a Yankee captain for several years, actually. And I'm pretty sure that Nap Lajoie if I remember correctly, scouted him at a high school and signed him at a really young age. Also won MVP one year. Now, of course, I'd love to have an E121 American Caramel of Babe Ruth. Who wouldn't? Again, that one's probably never going to be in the cards, but I really like this set as well. There's something about them that makes them kind of look like those old-fashioned sort of pictures that you see when you go to different towns that have those, vintage photography thing that makes them very charming to me. Rogers Hornsby, of course, who wouldn't want a Rogers Hornsby E121 American Caramel? And then Walter Johnson, one of the best pitchers of all time, if not the best pitcher of all time. Now, again, these three probably not going to ever be in my price range. I'd love to have them, but some of the minor stars, I'd love to pick those up too. But I just really like that set. And then another American Caramel set. This one is pretty much full color, and these are pretty darn cool cards. I mean, yeah, Honus Wagner. Now, Honus Wagner, people think of him of just the T206, but we can't forget, he's one of the best players ever. First ballot Hall of Famer, inaugural Hall of Famer. Eddie Plank, who, again, another guy from that T206 set. Those two cards are a couple of the rarest and most expensive. And then how about the E91 Walter Johnson? I'm always going to be interested in a Walter Johnson, in a Honus Wagner, or an Eddie Plank. Now, probably never going to get any of these cards. I'm showing you these ones because I just like the set.
All right, stop. Time out. Time. Stop for just a second. That is just the tip of the iceberg of what's on my list of pre-war cards. There are so many others I didn't even include. There are so many others. I mean, yeah, of course, I want a Cy Young T206. Of course, I want all of them. Which one I want most changes by the day of the week. Of course, there are other cards in pre-war. I mean, just even in the Gowdy set. I didn't even include either of the Rogers Hornsby cards. I didn't include the other Carl Hubble card. There's a ton. This is when I think of the Gowdies, the 33 Gowdies, which ones are the first on my mind? Of course I want a Lou Gehrig. Of course I want a Babe Ruth. But when I thought, what's in the 33 Gowdy set that I've been looking at a lot lately and really want? Those are the ones that came to mind. All right, let's pick up from there. We're going to start up here after war. So now, traditional vintage, late 40s first. Let's take a look.
So current vintage favorites, meaning currently my vintage favorites, because my opinions and my interests are always changing. So as of this moment, these are some of my all-time favorite vintage cards. So I really like the 1948 Bowman set. I know it catches a lot of heat because there's no color. It's all black and white. But there are some really cool cards. Warren Spahn, I've talked about him a lot. His rookie card is so affordable. Now, Stan Musial, who's also in the 48 Bowman set, not super affordable, but isn't that a great picture of him? I think that is such a cool picture. And then, of course, I'm going to include one of my all-time Grail cards, the Yogi Berra. Now, the Yogi Berra is not crazy expensive in a low grade. In a one or so, you can get one for $400 or so, which seems reasonable to me. But, if I'm going to start with the regular old 40s through 60s vintage, those all three got to be on my list. I really like the 1950 Bowman set a lot. And I really like Warren Spahn a lot. And this is such a cool card with him leaning back and loading up to unload a pitch with this big high leg kick. I just love that card. And then Bob Feller, where he's just kind of easing back on his, takeaway. Love that card. And then, there's just so many. I could list a bunch, but some of the ones at the top of my list. How about the Richie Ashburn? Now, the Jackie Robinson's gotten really expensive. Even in a one, it's about $1,000 now. So that is probably well down the road. Pee Wee Reese, though, the Spawn, the Feller, the Ashburn, and the Robin Roberts, those 6 cards, 5 of them are very, very affordable. It's just the Jackie Robinson that gets kind of crazy. Love the 50 Bowman set. So 48 Bowman, 50 Bowman, love them both so much. And then, the 52 Topps Warren Spahn. You're going to see Warren Spahn a lot because I'm a big Warren Spahn guy. And his 52 Topps is such a gorgeous card with that red background. Richie Ashburn, I think, also has a great 52 Topps card. The green background. Look at how young he looks in that portrait. The Phil Rizzuto 52 Topps is another card that I have high on my list. That, to me, is one of the better Rizzuto cards. And then I've mentioned many times on a few channels how much I like the 52 Monty Irvin. And rounding out the 52 Topps cards that I love that are really high on my list, how about the Bob Feller? Has such a cool Bob Feller with the yellow background. So 5 really cool 52 Topps. And then how about a 52 Bowman? Minnie Minoso rookie card is shockingly affordable in my opinion. 53, I love the Whitey Ford in the 53 Topps set. I think the 53 Topps set is a really gorgeous set. And the Yogi Berra is one of my favorites. I know a lot of people think the Yogi Berra especially looks a little cartoony. I like it. I like the short bill. Also in the 53 set, really high on my list. The Warren Spahn. Again, you're going to see him a lot. And another Warren Spahn. How about the 53 Bowman Color? Probably my favorite looking Warren Spahn card is the 53 Bowman Color. So really 10 cards I really would like to get there. Staying with the 53 Bowman Color, how about the Monty Irvin? Really cool, relaxed pose there. Also the Minnie Minoso. Another one, similar kind of picture. I really like that 53 Bowman Color set. It's one of my favorite sets of the 50s. Adding in another, how about the 53 Stan Musial? And as I'm looking at these cards, I'm going, man, I didn't even include the 52 Bowman Musial card that I love. But it would be impossible to show all of them that I like. How about the 54 Al Kaline rookie? Of course, who doesn't want that card? So young in that picture. And then my all-time favorite card, the Ernie Banks, is got to be on the top of the list. Again, this is just the top of the tip of the iceberg. The 54 Topps Monty Irvin. You'll see Monty Irvin a lot. There's something about him. He's photogenic. He looks so happy. He looks so athletic. There's so much about Monty Irvin that I'm a fan of. And then Richie Ashburn, his 54 Topps, to me is a really pretty card. Moving into the 55 Topps. Big on the Warren Spahn. I just think the color in that particular card and the 55 Jackie Robinson just really jump. So in the heart of the 50s here, got 9 more awesome looking cards that I really want. How about the 55 Hank Aaron? And you're starting to say, geez, this is a lot of cards, Greg. Yeah, I know. That's the problem. That's the point. I really want the 55 Al Kaline. Again, I'm going through some of my favorite cards of a whole decade. I'm going to have a lot of cards. The 56 Topps Roberto Clemente is really, really high on my list, as well as second-year card. Love the action shot in the background. And then how about the 56 Yogi Berra? I love the 55 and 56 Yogi Berra. To me, you could easily make the argument that either is better. The 56 Sandy Koufax. Now, I like the 55 better, but it's getting kind of unaffordable. Same with the Clemente, which is why I went with the second years for the top of the list, because they're a little bit more realistic for me. The Frank Robinson 57 Topps rookie. The next two cards, the 57 Topps Don Drysdale, and then the next card that's about to show up here in just a second is the 57 Topps Warren Spahn. Those are two of the best pictures of any card in the 50s to me. And then the 58 Hank Aaron, which I've mentioned a couple of times, is just such a cool card. There's so much I like about it. The green background, just how young he looks. All right, now we're moving into the 60s. Yes, I just got through the 50s. The 60s, I really want the Carl Yastrzemski. Some people don't like the Yastrzemski or the McCovey. I really like both of them. I think they're both beautiful cards. Two rookie cards. Now, and part of the reason I put them on the list is because they're super affordable, as is the 61 Juan Marichal. Now, Marichal is one of the top 5 pitchers, at least top 5. Probably higher than that. Top 3 maybe in the 60s, and his rookie card is super affordable. I like the 61 Hank Aaron MVP card. I don't know why. It kind of looks like a school portrait or like a senior picture looking off into the distance, but I love it. The 64 Pete Rose with the rookie trophy. Such a cool card. I've mentioned that one a few times. I love the 65 set. The 65 Pete Rose is one of my favorite cards in that set. I could have easily put the Steve Carlton rookie on this list as well. I have the 65 Eddie Matthews, which to me is just a great looking card. Eddie Matthews is really, really affordable. His rookie card, high number 52 Topps, is unaffordable. Everything else, to me, is very affordable. And then a couple of second-year cards. The 68 Tom Seaver rookie trophy and the 68 Rod Carew rookie trophy are two of the coolest looking cards to me of the whole decade of the 60s. Really cool cards in the 60s.
Okay. That's the that's the late 40s. That's the 50s. And that's the 60s. And there are a lot of cards I didn't include. Now, some of the cards I didn't include, I have. Like, yeah, I want a Gaylord Perry rookie card. Well, I actually have that one. I want a 1956 Ted Williams. I have a Ted Williams 1956. So this is not all the cards I like. These are all the cards when I went set by set that immediately clicked of I really want. And yeah, there's some obvious ones I skipped over too. Well, not all of us, but most of us want a 52 Mantle. So I didn't include that one. I also was trying to hit a variety of price points. I don't want to put up just $1,000 cards. I could make a whole list of $1,000 cards. This is a little of everything. So the next group is going to be the 1970s. And the cards from the 1970s, I consider more of a modern vintage era, right? The traditional vintage to me is really the 60s and before, really the 50s and 60s. Well, 40s, 50s, 60s. Before that was pre-war. So let's look at just the 70s for a second. Just a few. This is just a few. Yeah, I know. I didn't include the 71 Clemente, and it's an amazing card, and I really want that too. This is just some of the highlights. So don't get too upset that I didn't include some really cool cards. All right, let's look at the 70s. Check them out.
So many cards from the 70s I'd love to have. I mean, to me, these are still vintage, but they're more like modern vintage. They're kind of not like the traditional vintage. How about starting it off with the 71 Nolan Ryan? I know it's a distant shot, and I generally like kind of tighter pictures, but there's something about how the Mets jumps off the black border. The 71 Reggie Jackson, he's sitting on his knee like he's in the on-deck circle. Athletics is jumping off the black border. Such a cool card. One of the more memorable cards of Roberto Clemente is the 72 Topps. He's not even looking at the camera, but there's just something about the yellow and black helmet and Pirates jumping off the background. And then, the 70s Carlton Fisk, like, there's just something, even though it's a multiplayer card, Carlton Fisk rookie card for such an affordable price. I don't know how I don't have it yet. Burt Blyleven, 71. I had to hop back. I was like, wait a second, I forgot Burt Blyleven in the 71 set. Yeah, I love the Burt Blyleven card. I really think highly of Burt Blyleven as a pitcher. Mike Schmidt's rookie card has gotten pretty expensive. That'll be a tough one for me someday to hopefully get. It'll have to be a low grade. Dave Winfield in the 74 top set. Really cool picture, really cool card. I think he's underappreciated. When I think of the 75 set, now most people think of the George Brett rookie. For some reason, I think of the Robin Yount rookie. It's just a really memorable card for me, as is the 78 Eddie Murray with the rookie cup there. And I don't know, how could you not have a list from the 70s with Ozzie Smith? Now, I have an Ozzie Smith. It is ungraded. It is very nice, but those are some awesome cards.
All right. 70s. Lots of great cards. Now, as we get newer, of course, there are going to be more rookies because the rookies are kind of the iconic cards. You know, and when you're talking about the 50s, there's a lot of iconic cards that aren't rookies. But when you're talking about the price point now in the 70s and after that, a lot of them are much, much more affordable. And so we tend to lean toward the rookie. Like, yeah, you know, an 85 tops Wade Boggs is a cool card, but it's not the card that I've been longing for, like maybe a different Wade Boggs card, right? So we're now going to look at my childhood cards that I don't have. And as I was sitting here looking at the camera, I said, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I didn't include the Leaf Frank Thomas, because that card as a kid was a big one. And I didn't include it on the list. So again, tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more beneath this. Childhood cards that I wanted as a kid, that I never got as a kid, that I want now for, well, mostly nostalgia purposes. Let's take a look.
Sometimes it's just cool to get cards from your childhood, even if you don't really have a good reason why you want them. Although, you don't need a good reason on why you'd want the Rickey Henderson 1980 Topps rookie card. I mean, arguably the best card from the whole decade is the 80 Rickey Henderson. I have a Cal Ripken rookie. I don't have his Topps. The Topps being a multiplayer card kind of sucks. Now, the card from my childhood that was a grail card for most collectors was the 84 Donruss Don Mattingly. Such a cool picture. And even though Kirby Puckett has a lot of cards, and he has a lot of cards that people would say are better than this one, for some reason the 85 Fleer Kirby Puckett is just a card that jumps out at me that I remember. Maybe it's the blue uniform. The 86 Topps Update Bo Jackson, he just looks like an absolute stud in that picture. And then the 86 Barry Bonds. You want a Barry Bonds card? Yeah, I want a Barry Bonds card. I've wanted the 86 Topps Update Barry Bonds for a long time. Jose Canseco's card made the list. Now, I have his rated rookie, which was the grail card as a kid. But his Fleer card with Eric Plunk has to be on the list of childhood memory cards, nostalgia purposes. Nothing cooler than the rated rookie. How about two? The Greg Maddux 87 Donruss rated rookie and the Mark McGwire 87 Donruss rated rookie. I saw the 87 Donruss rated rookie McGwire get pulled from a pack as a kid, and then no list without the Ken Griffey Jr.
All right. If you're still watching, see, I don't know. Whenever I'm putting something together, I don't know if people are going to like this or not like this. What I try to do is I try to put things together that I think are fun. And I'll be honest with you, putting this collection of cards that I really would like to have, some attainable, some completely unattainable, has been a lot of fun. And people are asking me all the time, hey, what cards do you like? What cards do you collect? What do you have? What do you want? I'm like, this would be so much fun. But again, the original question from the very beginning is, what do I do? Do I just show up to a show with a pocket full of money, and when one of these shows up, I buy it? Because what I am continuing to do is I have a long, long, long list of cards I want. This group is toward the top of that list, but it's just amongst a bunch of them. And then what ends up happening is I go to a show and I'm like the dog in the movie Up, where he just sees a squirrel and he gets sidetracked. He sees a shiny object and finds something else. Oh, I like that too. I like that too. I'm going to go buy that. And then I buy that and I'm happy that I have that. But now I don't have money to buy these other things that I've been longing for a really long time. So what do you guys do? Do you make a list? Most want down and you just pick them off one at a time? Do you show up with a list and you just buy the ones that you see that are on the list? Is the list the top 20 or do you just walk in and walk around and go, you know what, that's pretty cool, I'm going to go buy it? Because I'm getting a little frustrated with myself lately. And the thing I'm getting a little frustrated with myself with is I feel like I'm adding a lot of cool stuff to my collection, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff I've wanted for a long time that I haven't bought yet. Like people say, why haven't you bought the 54 banks yet? And I go, I don't know. And then I go, well, maybe it might have something to do with the fact that I've been spending all my money on all this other stuff that I see along the way. And maybe that's okay too. What do you do? And what advice do you have for me? Because I need advice. How should I collect? How should I rank it? How should I move forward? Let me know what you think.